My name is Leah Henry. I'm the Community Development Manager for the Upper Coastal Plain Council of Governments. So in the past 4.5 years, I've seen a lot of growth. I'm really positive about the things I've seen. We came out of a really bad recession, and since then there's been a lot of new investment in housing and in commercial activity.
I've seen it change a lot. I remember way back when I was a little girl, and some of my friends and all of us used to walk to school together and everything, you know. And walking to school and all, I don't know, you might call me a little nosy, I might be, because I always paid attention to those beautiful yards back in the day. And they kept their flowers so pretty. I always loved flowers, and even now I like to dig in dirt and watch flowers grow and root them just to see how healthy the roots are. Back then, people took care of their yards, kept them miraculous, didn't let the grass grow this way or that. And some people didn't even allow you to even walk on their lawns back in the day when I was coming along. I'm hoping, and it looks like it's going to get there, that Happy Hill will be somewhat the way it used to be.
We were historically traditional agricultural community, and that was the essence of our economy. And now the dynamics and everything has forced us to change. So we are in a transitional mode, looking forward to a more advanced area in terms of technology, in terms of transportation. We're also in a transformation mode academically. So we want to bring like more scholars to our region, and we want to develop ourselves here more so into the scholastic realm.
From my perspective, I'm relatively new here. I've been here 12 years, which is new for this community, because if you're not born and raised here, you can be here for 30 years and they're going to still be considered an outsider. So I've been here 12 years. And for me, what distinguishes Rocky Mount is the diversity of the community. I love that we have so many transplanted people here. I pastor a very large church, and about 30% of my congregation has lived somewhere else during their lifetime. So I love the transplanted nature of the community. For me, it's the single most important aspect of the community. But when I got here 12 years ago, I can't think of a single independently owned restaurant, you know, that was kind of a higher echelon kind of restaurant. We're beginning to get those kinds of restaurants here. And as I frequent those restaurants, you see people from out of town that are staying in the hotels off 95 who are coming, who are reading about them, and are coming to Rocky Mount just for those kinds of experiences.
As a native of Rocky Mount, you know, I remember going downtown with my parents, and it was very vibrant and a lot of activity and a lot of people shopping. And the malls came along, and slowly but surely things kind of slowed down. I can remember people moving to the suburbs. When I left Rocky Mount to go to school, I've been away about 25 years, and to come back and see that spark with night, entertainment, arts, and just a lot to do. So you see people moving downtown. Well, typically, in the urban planning process, the town is built around a plant or a mill. Oftentimes on industrial sites, they have chemicals and solvents and materials that could be in the structure or surrounding property. And typically, when manufacturing moves out, that's left. And so there are certain EPA guidelines in order to get permits to reuse the property. You have specialized companies to dispose or remove or encapsulate that type of material. And they have to put in containment barriers, and they have HEPA filters, and they're dressed up like little spacemen with odd looking equipment in their hand. So, you go through that period with a lot of activity, and basically you take a blighted building, go back in, the wood is now bright and new, a new old look to it, if you will. One thing that we don't get more of is land. So these historic and historical sites certainly can be a very important part of the community today.
Right now, we're in the Douglas Block area downtown, which was a historic black business district, and much of this site was brownfields that had to be cleaned up. And brownfields money, historic preservation tax credits, everything was put together to create the place that we're talking in right now.
My name is Stuart Lee. I am the State Public Affairs and Outreach Specialist for the Natural Resources Conservation Service, and was serving as the team lead for the Strong Cities, Strong Communities initiative through the White House Special Counsel in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. With a brownfield, it takes work and effort and time and a lot of money to go in and clean these sites up, to take out these contaminants from the soil so that these locations are healthy. You see a community that has maybe urban blight, homes that are surrounding these brownfields that are in need of repair. Well, it's hard to sell those homes because they're adjacent to some of these properties. It's not something that is on the forefront of your mind. So how do we plan, especially when you have city councils where you have to worry about votes on budgets, and there's just all these complexities that are there that makes it difficult to manage at a city level. Public awareness that's at an appropriate level, public support, and then the circles of partnership around that can really start to build a cohesive picture of how to move the community forward. One of the things that I talked about a lot when I was in Rocky Mount was how the city is like a gigantic bubble machine. It's producing all these bubbles of opportunities. And towards the end of my time there, I realized that this negative thing of a brownfield actually became a bubble of opportunity. Seeing a brownfield as the opportunity, and then what do we use to thread all these together so that we create this one giant picture puzzle. We have someone who has made a tremendous impact on this community, and that's Thelonious Monk, this jazz musician. The site where he was born and this park is on one side of the city. And then on the other side, we have this great opportunity of redeveloping a mill. And this partner has gone in, Capital Broadcasting. They're taking the old mill in Rocky Mount and turning it into a new business opportunity. So the city said, well, let's create a trail system that utilizes the mill and the old rail system that went to the mill to the railroad track that goes through downtown. And then Thelonious Monk Park. Being able to capitalize off of existing plans to improve greenway spaces and make a more walkable city, and filtering that over to this brownfield site actually is another tremendous idea.
So the Monk to Mill Trail is an idea that was floated many years ago. The city decided to go after some Department of Transportation funding. So we were originally looking at it as more of a transportation-related project, and then it has evolved to become more of an economic development and community development project. There are several large, empty former industrial or manufacturing sites right along the western part of the proposed Monk to Mill Trail. Definitely there's a lot of opportunity cost involved in not doing anything with all of that property. It's almost like a spine that runs right through the center of the older parts of the city. It has great potential to connect the east and west sides of the city to downtown. And I think it would be a really nice amenity, not just for people who live here, but for our visitors.
Well, one, I think the trail encompasses some of the jewels of our community. It'll take you to the Imperial Center, the library. It'll take you past the library, and then it'll take you on to Douglas Block and of course the event center that's on the horizon. The event center will be there, and And so that trail, and then it will continue down South Washington Street where there's planned development. It's just great that to see all the work that's happening there and the investment that's going on and the way the community has embraced it.
I think what the trail will add is that you know, have biking, you have people moving around the city. You give people an opportunity to kind of see parts of town that you miss driving in a car. If you have commerce and business developing on the trail, that's easy access. I can walk, I can ride my bike. I don't necessarily have to have a car. Cities are kind of laid out over several miles. So being right there where the jobs are, where the entertainment is and recreation, it's a big convenience.
I agree. I'm excited about the Monte Trail, again, for various reasons. I like where it's being strategically placed. And I think that as the residents see the other people utilizing this trail, I mean, that can have a ripple effect. It's how when you walk in and you see these beautiful bricks, and then you see, of course, this woodwork that you really just don't see again. And I think it brings us back to a sense of authenticity of what is really original and how this could be still relevant today.
That's really what the intent of it is. How do we get people from one, I'll call them anchor assets. How do you get people from this anchor asset to that anchor asset without having to jump in a car or needing public transportation? But what I will say is, though, I mean, with the success, I think the Imperial Center is one of the most remarkable renovations. It's really a fine renovation. And when you have that reuse, and then you're going to have the mill project reuse, when people have that visual and they see it happening and can happen, then I think you automatically attract other developers to do other projects like that.
One of the greatest things I hope that can come out of the Monte Trail is that we can see how we can convert those brown field types of areas, whether it's a physical infrastructure, whether it's a trail, how we can convert that to an asset that we can really use. And it does not have to be destroyed. Everything does not have to be raised. And so this is another thing that I hope they have a broad effect on how we utilize these spaces.
When you've got a trail that people can walk, ride bicycles, communicate with one another, where we're not in cars, and we're interacting with each other, that strengthens a community tremendously.
Green spaces in Rocky Mount became this idea of melting segmented communities together, bridging segmented communities that have been separated for whatever reason. Whether you go in and take a road that has no sidewalk, put in a sidewalk, and also include spaces that are for natural vegetation, you can see how that has a direct positive impact on just the view and feel of a community.
And as much as we travel, going to Charlotte or going to Greensboro or whatever, it could be right here at my back door now. I can see the potentials of it and the needs. And yes, I would love to see more housing. Now, I like the vintage look. So I can take a little new and a little old too.
I think 10 years from now, Rocky Mount, we're going to look up and Rocky Mount is going to be in magazines because we would have taken so many former commercial spaces and brownfields and developed them for quality of life. We could wind up a leader in that area because there's so many different projects going on at the same time.
I'm just overwhelmed that we are actually having this discussion in our region. I think it's phenomenal. It's something that I can't overemphasize for us to be putting this into a part of our culture now, to even thinking about the terminology, brownfield, the greening, the gardening. And of course, this all plays a part in that human development.
We're in a place now where there's some exciting opportunities. Collectively, we can grow this city and improve the city and make it really the jewel on the east.
We're going to use this lot that's been chained around and blocked off, and use this to connect this community to this community through a greenway structure that's going to create opportunity for recreation and for to unite a community. You're uniting communities that have been separated. You're connecting communities through a trail system and greenway systems to medical services in downtown, banks downtown, grocery stores, and to a vacated downtown, hoping to stoke opportunities for reinvestment in these buildings. You're giving people the highway that they've never had to become more social and active and seen and a part of their community. And so Monk to Mill is kind of one of those projects. It's connecting the community together to solve a whole host of issues. I'm very proud of Rocky Mount and all the things that they're trying to accomplish.
I'm just tickled about what I see. Oh, it's great. And sometimes I just cruise around and just look, just see the difference. And I hope someone else is taking pictures too, so when we look back years from now and see where we have come.